Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
Gemma.
Clark. Nice to meet you. Do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. I'll come back to you. Let me know when you're ready, okay?
Is Coulson going to regret stepping down as director now that he's being kept out even before he
I mean...
Is that okay?
She already stumped me, Gemma. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. He's very ambivalent out of the gates. Very ambivalent. Really does not... I think it really had become tiresome to him being the director. He pledged to Nick Fury that he would rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. He received the Cube of Destiny and the beautiful destroyer weapon, and you do what Nick Fury says. That's his mentor. But when you're sending your friends, your team members, into dangerous places and you're not with them, when you're the most kind of senior savvy person, it's not good. I think he was really ready to be back in the field. That said, to have some guy who seems to really rely on focus groups and polling, you know, making decisions about S.H.I.E.L.D., that's also not sitting well with him, especially because it's very quickly putting his own people in danger. So that seems to be a core dilemma for him right out of for the first part of the season. Until he turns into Ghost, right?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. You got one?
The fact that at the last minute when May gets hurt and you just find out that the director's Inhuman, how do you feel?
Really good question. Thank you. I think this is kind of similar to what you were talking about. He can't protect the people he cares about, and other people are making these decisions and off on different missions, and he has no say, and he's not watching, and that leads to Agent May being hurt in a way that...
You don't like it?
No, it's really hard for him to see her in trouble, and especially because I think, and I don't want to give away spoilers just because you're very persuasive, I think very soon you're going to find out that what's happened to Agent May can be fatal. And so I think you're going to see a race to keep her alive. God, how did you do that?
The best of the team.
Okay.
I know, I was going to say, I'm her intern, so, you know, that's what I feel like now. How do you, and don't let the Daily News people co-opt, so jump in, but how do you feel, I know, I'm like the tabloid reporter jumping in, how do you feel about, you know, having Ghost Rider on the show and the dynamic and what it adds? I know that you haven't really been in any real scenes with him, I mean, you were, but what do you feel, how do you feel about that?
I'm thrilled. I was very nervous when it was announced to me, just because I know Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider is an incredible Marvel character who has defied being brought to cinematic life to a certain extent, because the effects are really tough, and it's really difficult to put that magic part, and specifically the Ghost Rider part, into a world that we relate to. And especially our show built a lot of logic and science around our bizarre science fiction comic book world, and I didn't know how it was going to work out. Then you add the logistical part of how are you going to make those visual effects work every 8 days, and so we were all very nervous. So we didn't see any of it until the premiere, and we saw the premiere episode and collectively kind of pumped our fists, because Robbie Reyes as a character, not the usual Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, that really works on our show, and I really think that what Mark Kolpak and his team have done, and the way Marissa and Jed Whedon and Jeff Bell have written that character, is really working on our show, and it's been nice to see the fans feel the same way.
Does anybody else?
Is there going to be any nod to the Patriot with this new director?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how soon, but there's a reason they called him Jeffrey Mace. And that said, it won't be the same as the comic books, because in the comic books, I believe Jeffrey Mace was the Captain America figure who took him when Cap disappeared into the ice. So in the 50s and stuff, in the late 40s. And so it's a different version you got on our show. But that said, you know, this is a Captain America type character. I mean, for Phil Coulson, there's only one. And so far, we don't feel any love sparks between him and Jeffrey Mace anyway.
When the new director asked you to do a tour, do you think that was funny, or do you think that was insulting?
Personally, Clark thought it was funny. Phil Coulson thought it was a little bit insulting, until we until he started actually explaining the history of Peggy Carter and that SSR base, and I thought it was worth it just because I got to have the line that there were so many great stories about Peggy Carter that had not actually been recorded. I love that little homage to how unfortunate it was to not have Agent Carter episodes on the air right now, which I'm personally upset about. And any moment that we don't have Haley Atwell actively working in the Marvel Universe is a sad, sad day.
You can make that happen, though.
You might be overestimating Clark's power.
We have time for one last question.
Anybody?
This is the most fractured we've seen the team in a while. Can you talk at all about how long that might last, or what? Yeah, I guess just if there's any signs of the team coming back together in the near future.
Daisy really seems on the lam and very wanted by a lot of authorities. It's hard to imagine how she's going to come back into the fold while Jeffrey Mace is head of S.H.I.E.L.D. I can only hope that the threats that we're looking at with this Ghost Rider and the ghosts, the physicists, who seem to have opened some kind of, I don't know, some kind of gateway to the occult other world, that things get so bad that it takes people's attention off of the fractured elements of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Coulson's able to sneak them somehow back together, but that's not based on recon, just wishful thinking.
Okay.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.